the Aprilia Dorsoduro 750. It has a 749cc V-twin, putting out 92 horsepower and 82 newton meters of torque. 186 kilos. It's not the lightest bike in the world. It also only has a 12-litre fuel tank, approximately 100 miles worth. I've been asked by a friend and subscriber to do some work on this after he bought it for £2,500. Bargain. Or is it? In this video, we'll be doing some work, riding it and reviewing it too. Join us. Wicked. We're doing the oil, doing the spark plugs, and we're doing the head bearings as well because there's a bit of a wobble going on. Okay, so we're just warming it up. I think we have an exhaust leak. Alright, that's quite enough of that noisy thing. I may actually try and weld that up for him, but it's going to be a bit awkward to get the welder in there from all angles. What a horrible noise. Oil looks pretty clean. Also on the exhaust, I noticed a lot of Jubilee clamps here, which aren't really the ideal thing to clamp exhaust. Of course. More oil everywhere. Cool, let's leave that to drain for a bit. Yes, I always pre-oil the filters. I know some people don't, and that's cool, but I always do. It takes a couple of minutes extra and just gives me that peace of mind. Just like that, leave that to soak in. Maybe put one more lot in there and then we'll go. In the meantime, I'll put the drain plug in, of course, with the new washer. Top that up, clean that up and screw that in. And don't over tighten that. Wipe. Do that, screw that on, and wipe, and tighten, but not too much. Wipe that, and fill. It's the oil done. It's super duper hot outside. This hole on the exhaust, I think that was probably caused, well, at some point there may have been a heat shield on there, I might be wrong, but the heat shields tend to have a welded boss for a screw to go into. And I think that boss has probably snapped off and taken the metal with it. Sorry about the fan, by the way, but I'm hot. Couple of things. Yes, this is a nice idea. The tank is on a pivot, so we can lift that up. Although I may actually have to disconnect it from here to get into the spark plug hole anyway, but there we go. It's quite nice. It's quite sandy in here. Maybe off the rear, coming straight up into here. It doesn't really matter, but I'll give that a blow down, give that a clean. This bike had some hot start issues, as most Aprilias do. However, I have found here, look, the live connectors for a start are very frayed, and that is also going to cause high resistance. Boom. There's the best thing that mirrors do on bikes, is hold fuel tanks up. A little bit dirty in there, so what we'll do, we'll just get the air line like this, and in there before to clean out any dirt, so when we undo the spark plug, it doesn't then fall into the cylinder. I tend to crack the spark plug off a little bit, give it one more blast, and then take it out. So there's do that, there's do that. I like working on twins because the front cylinder is always easier to get to, a bit like the rear. None of them are underneath the airbox usually, so yeah, it's quite nice. I'll have to take the front radiator off, I imagine, or pivot it forward so I can get into the cylinder head there and do the same thing. Rear plug, looking a bit black, a little bit sooty. The actual ceramic itself is quite a nice colour, but only on one side. Probably means we have an issue elsewhere. Now that is the cylinder with the hole right near the manifold of the exhaust. Wrong bike. I'm getting confused. This downpipe is only about 6 inches long or so, but if I take it off, I fear that all the gaskets down below are going to fall apart. I might just try and stick the welder through there and weld it up and see what happens. It's not going to be the prettiest job, but if it quietens up, then it'll be worth it. We're onto the forks now. Paddock stand on the back, and this handy air jack underneath the engine. Take all this crap off, change the bearings over, put all that crap back together. I'm not going to film too much of the headset bearings because that's all I've been doing for the last 6 months, it feels like. These and chains. Let's get these swapped around and go. Yeah, well, I'd say they needed doing, don't you think? The previous person who worked on this took this all apart just to re-grease the bearings. They didn't actually go as far to replace the bearings because we've got 2 types of grease here. Nice chocolatey mess. That is horrific. Terrible. Terrible. Why would you bother re-greasing that? I can at least show you this tool from my AliExpress YouTube video. So it's got a lip on here and a thread that goes from there that expands it. On the inside of here, there is a small lip. You open that tool up. That is expanding these 2 jaws outwards. Just nip that into place like that. Lovely. That underneath, that then gives us a big surface area of these 2 bits to then hit up into without having to worry about slipping the race and moving your rod about. So I've actually put a socket on my extension bar. I'm going to try and hit them both in one. So the tool come out, but as you can see, it did take the race with it. So now we've got a gap in here. I can then get my profiled rod, wherever that is, and then get in there and knock it out. So yeah, in general, these aren't completely foolproof, but they certainly make it easier. So definitely worth the 10 quid these are or whatever. Yes, chuck it in.
Yeah, really smooth power delivery all throughout the range. I like that part. So fueling, good. Especially for a big V twin. Power, again, good. I like it. In terms of a usable bike, it's the perfect amount of power to have. Comfortable. Very comfortable as well. See, doesn't look that comfortable, but it actually is. How that will fare on longer rides, who knows, but yeah, very nice seat, very nice and wide as well. I like a wide seat. The brakes are pretty good as well, to be honest. This is a non-radial front master cylinder, so it's a conventional front master cylinder, but it works really well. Now this has got a Chinese type shorty lever on there, which is not the most comfortable to ride with, and although I only brake with 1 finger anyway, it just doesn't feel right. So yeah, I would change that, and it does make it really snatchy because of the length as well. Same for the rear brake, that works well. So brakes, good. Comfort, good. Power, good. Suspension and handling, good, as you would expect. I've reset the suspension on this to the standard settings, and even though the roads are quite bumpy, it does handle them quite well. This is where we go slow down here and prepare. That's fine. So yeah, overall, I like it. I would definitely have one. Now, being an Aprilia, or being an Italian bike, it does come with a few electrical issues, which are quite common on these models, but nothing we can't fix. This did have a hot start issue occasionally, but we seem to have remedied that by fixing the battery cables for the time being. It's not the tidiest, as you would expect for £2.5 grand, but if you actually plan on riding it and using it, especially around these roads, look, fantastic deal. Sorry for the cable if you can see it as well, but that's the only way I can set this up at the minute. This is the first test of helmet audio. Anyway, enough about the bike. I like the bike. That's good. Let's take some riding in. just to show you what it can do. Obviously take it a little bit easy because it's not my bike and it is a bit wet around here. Yeah, it does handle well. It puts down the power so well out of the corners that it's really confidence inspiring to get on the gas early, which is nice. I tend to do a bit of a mix of leg out and knee out as well on this, which I quite like on the Supermotos. Bit of a hybrid riding style, but it works. It feels good. I like Supermotos, they do feel good. Like I say, if you've done a bit of motocross in your time especially, it's just a comfortable setup. It's a familiar, comfortable setup, and it's confidence inspiring. That's what I like about this bike. It hasn't quite got the power to power wheelie, so you really have to keep it at the balance point, which is fine because it teaches you good technique. At the same time, I like the fact that it is hard to wheelie, if you like, because it keeps you out of trouble. I have a KTM 990 Supermoto, which will be featuring in some later videos, and that does have more power than this. However, you do feel, as cliche as it sounds, you feel like you're going to get in trouble every time you get on that KTM, because the amount of torque and just the power wheelies you can do without even trying just causes you to ride it like a maniac, basically. Where this bike, you can still have the same amount of fun in terms of the punch out of the corners and hanging off it, etc. Good handling, comfortable, you get all of that, but it's not quite at the point where it's mental enough to get you in trouble. Of course, this goes as fast as however you want, I guess. I think this goes 130, so of course you can get into trouble with it, but in terms of your yobbish behaviour with the wheelies, it's a bit harder to do so you can instead just focus on your riding instead, which I think is much more important, again, for a usable bike. A bike you could do anything with. You could have this as your daily driver quite easily, I imagine. Like I say, yet to test the seat, but I'm certainly not uncomfortable here. So yeah, I like it. Good bike. They did do a 1200 version of this. They eventually landed on the 900 as the final model, which ended production in 2020, I believe. God, these are wet roads. I think out of all the models, though, I would likely have this one. I'd say it's the best of the bunch. I like the shape of these bikes. These luxury Supermotos do tend to be styled quite uniquely. You are either a fan or you're not, but I am a fan of these. But because of that styling, they do tend to fit quite well. They've got these grooves in a tank here, like you would see on a sports bike, so you can lock your knees into them as you feel solid, you feel locked in. It's good. Here's the front brake. Bit of tyre squeal there. Obviously the roads aren't going to be up to temp, but neither are the tyres. Like I say, definitely fast enough to have fun on too. Definitely some of the best low speed fueling I've seen. Not only on a twin, but probably on most bikes that I've been on. For all of their faults, the Italians can make a good fuel system.
And we are back in the shed. What an enjoyable ride that was. Like this bike a lot. A couple of little bits to sort out next time he brings it back here, but in general, very good, very comfortable. The perfect riding bike. This bike will probably make an appearance again on the channel, along with that thing. So join me next time. Thanks for watching. Subscribe. Bye bye.